Do you believe casino gambling and racetrack slots are a viable way for the state to raise revenue?
No, I don't. First of all, the money that is being estimated that the state would take in from casinos is way overblown. One of the things you have to realize, there are 6 New England states and New York State that are considering gambling. If they all have them in, that market's going to be divided 7 ways that Connecticut has had pretty much on its own up until now. So the money is going to be a lot less. The costs, I think, are underestimated, not just the social costs, we all know that those exist, but the infrastructure costs as well will be greatly underestimated. And there is the problem of the communities near the community that gets it. They're going to have tremendous costs as well. Public safety costs are also a problem. If we're going to put money in to encouraging an industry so that Massachusetts has more jobs, good jobs, and also more revenue coming into the state, then the others that we've talked about make a lot more sense. Let's put those incentives into bringing green technology here, to bring more biotech here, and yes, more medical industry as well, because we have so many great hospitals as well as so many great universities. Let's not put it into something that, frankly, aside from the fact that I don't think it will bring in the revenue, and there's a lot of information to back that up, I think it is not the business of government to be promoting gambling.
Okay, Denise?
No, I don't support casinos, but I do understand the need for developing a revenue stream. You know, we have a 9% unemployment rate in Massachusetts today. We have a tremendous strain on the state budget. We have a need to increase local aid to our municipalities that are suffering as well. So the idea to increase the revenue stream and to develop a new mechanism for that was the impetus for the casinos, to get 15,000 people working and then to have long-term jobs after that initial 2-year construction. My thought had been, the state has a AA bond rating. We could have increased our bond capacity and put all of those people to work building roads and bridges and fixing deteriorating schools, and had the same quality jobs and been able to develop the revenue that we would need in the state to fund our many needs. The costs, what I would do, my goal as the state legislator would be to make sure that we did understand what the cost to the state was, what the infrastructure needs would be. I mean, we looked at millions and millions of dollars just for the infrastructure for Gillette Stadium. You know, what would be the regulatory cost? I know for a fact in New Jersey there were 500 additional people hired into the Attorney General's office to deal with regulatory issues when New Jersey opened their casino. And there's certainly a public safety cost. I would also, a goal would be to call for a fiscal impact study to the nearby community. We know that if a casino opens and inside is the glittering new restaurant with the $5 prime rib and the free drinks and the boutique stores and entertainment, that people are going to enter those doors and not go out to the surrounding community where there were the privately owned mom and pop stores and private restaurants. And so what actually is going to be that impact to the surrounding community? And what's our responsibility? How are we going to do the economic development for that surrounding community? And of course, as a nurse, as someone who has worked with people in a variety of settings, I understand the social costs, and I would want to be sure that we had a plan in place for that and directed money to that as well.
Okay, and Gary?
Yes, I am supportive of casinos. I think the revenue projections are appropriate. I think there is an immediate need for jobs in the construction as well as the service arenas for these casinos. I'm understanding of the social impact, and I believe, you know, that we, in conjunction with the development of the casinos, we develop a network or administration to better serve those social needs. That they're out there now, whether we have casinos or not. There's social costs out there with addiction to gambling, alcohol, drugs. We need to improve those social services as well. I think the impact casinos and a number of industries and opportunities far outweigh the negatives that were presented and we've all heard about. Obviously, I think you don't just build a casino. A lot of things mentioned previously are items that are being discussed and looked at. It's not just a shooting from the hip. It's been discussed for some time, and there is a lot of these things put in place to move forward with casinos. I think the revenue generated would beneficial to our struggling economy.
Steve? So I'm sure you've all followed the situation with Governor Patrick sending the most recent casino bill back to the legislature. What is your evaluation of Patrick's logic in sending the bill back? He says that the slots aspect of the casino bill constitutes a non-competitive contract. Do you agree with this? We'll start with Denise.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on
Yeah,
feelings there?
it's fairly simple. The way that the bill has been set up, there's actually 4 venues in the state that could have the slots. 2 of them have already decided that they're going to bow out of the process. So if the bill calls for 2, they're actually called racinos, 2 racinos, there's only 2 bidders left who could take that. That's a non-competitive bid.
Gary?
You know, I understand Deval Patrick's logic behind it, but you know, Denise just pointed out there was 4 potential sites and only 2 are interested in the racinos. So I think, you know, they have the infrastructure and everything in place to move forward. So, I mean, again, I think it's something, excuse me, you know, I'm more a supporter of the casinos than the racinos, but, you know, as the legislation moves forward, I think, you know, there's a need and an economic impact that's needed to spur the economy in these regions.
Sure.
Well, I think obviously the bidding process is a factor in it. I'd like to see none of them, obviously the casinos as well as the racinos. There is another factor, however, and that is that whatever we do legally in the state, no matter if we say we're going to limit it to 2, the Indian tribes also have a right to do what we've made legal in the state. So we could actually end up with more, both casinos and racinos, if that bill passed. So to the extent that we can limit it, I would much prefer to limit it.